All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of our earnings call coverage here for Bear Bull Traders. I am here with my good buddy Mike and Jared. We've got Carlos always lurking in the background, helping coordinate everything. So we are happy to talk earnings with you. So hello to everybody in the Bear Bull Trading chat room, by the way. And of course, all our friends on YouTube. So welcome. Yeah, we got a couple of interesting things to talk about. So last week on earnings, what did we talk? Big companies, right? Some of the big, gorillas, if you will, wandering around the jungle of these markets. Today, we're going to talk a little bit different. We're going to focus on some of the smaller companies because that's where the earnings are. They are, I would say today is a group of small upcoming companies that have sort of ongoing, activities, but some are in fact pre-revenue. In fact, I think they're all pre-revenue for the most part.
Yes.
But it still makes them interesting because they have some interesting business prospects and they are absolutely on the move here. And I'm searching for my material because I've lost it all. Here we go. Okay. So we're going to take them one at a time. We're going to start by talking about OKLO. For anybody that hasn't looked at this, we have been talking about it in the pre-market show for a while. This is Oklo Power. This is basically it's the modern nuclear. So they're doing nuclear power. Oh no, I did it again, didn't I? Is it nuclear or nuclear? Anyways,
nuclear. Good question, Peter, because I'm going to have the same issue.
Yeah.
One time I'll say nuclear and then nuclear or the other way. I don't know.
Anyways.
I got a speech impediment problem anyways today. Too much caffeine today.
Anyways, look, they're making atomic power. Maybe we'll call it atomic. How about that? And what's different here, what's fascinating is look, nuclear power delivery has been privatized, pseudo-privatized in the past in North America, but not really, because it's always been under strict government controls and oversight. This is different, that they're making public consumption-based small nuclear reactors. Now, small doesn't mean like we're not talking Back to the Future, Mr. Fusion thing in the back of your car, right? Let's be clear here. This atomic power is building sized, but we're talking about like lakeside chalet building as opposed to like giant nuclear concrete power plant sized. So it is a very different technology and it's untested. That being said, Oklo has been on a run. They've won a couple of contracts in the last quarter and their stock prices reflected it. They've been doing fairly well over the course of this year, especially over the last couple of months. They've also radically moved up their deployment dates. Originally, they were slating first commercial deployments to be in 2029, maybe 2028. They actually revised it and said they think they can achieve 2027. Now, keep in mind, there's a giant asterisk on that. You need regulatory approval and support. Otherwise, they're not doing anything. But the expectation is they think they're going to be able to get past those hurdles, not only on the technical and design issues that they're still unraveling, but also on the regulatory requirements to actually allow them to build and operate one of these things, at least in a test environment. So it's actually very interesting times, but keep in mind, right, the Oklo has a long trail to prove what's happening. So so that's the company background from an earnings numbers. Like I said, largely pre-earnings, right? We're talking about revenue expectations in this quarter of $1.5 million. That's it. That's about what Andrew made last week in trading. I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's a little. How about the last month in trading? And they're expected to lose about 12 cents a share, which is actually good because that shows an improvement on their bottom line cost basis. They're doing a good job of managing their expenditures, which is important because, like I said, right, if you're not deploying for a long period of time, you have to have enough cash to get you there. So from a company perspective, they look like they're well positioned. So the numbers they're going to be much more interested on how much are they spending, which will be which will show in the earnings, not so much in the revenue. That doesn't really matter. So, with that being said, Mike, let's take a look at the chart and how are they positioned, and yeah, what do they look like?
Yes, definitely. So one of the things that Peter didn't quite touch on is just like all of our technology stocks, what's really driving this is AI, right? AI requires a ton of energy resources, and the current power grid just doesn't have what is required to do with what we're looking for. So that is where traders and investors are looking at this company and saying, hey, this is a reasonable investment that has the potential to give me a great return based on the assumption that the NRC or the Nuclear Regulatory Commission will approve their technology and allow them to get in. So that's what traders or the investors are looking for, right? Are they getting closer to that approval from NRC? And how are they doing with their technology? And is it going to actually do what they say it does? When we take a look at the chart, you can see a nice, strong upward trend. It does have some pullbacks, but it is held the 20 moving average pretty well. Again, made an all-time high last week, August 6th, and has been pulling back. But that back has been on relatively lower volume. So what I find interesting about this is that we made a run up going into earnings. We're pulling back. So I think investors are waiting. All right, let's see what they are going to produce. Let's see what their notes are. Let's see what they're saying about getting approvals. Are they closer? Are they further away? Because one thing about nuclear power in the US is it's kind of the boogeyman, right? Like nobody really likes it. Like it's scary, right?
Island.
Yeah, it's the boogie energy resource, even though it's clean, hugely safer than it was 40, 50 years ago. But there's still those incidents that scare just people altogether. So to me, I think it's a possible good investment, so much so that I have failed not once, but twice on getting into this position long back when it was down into the 20s. And that was just because I failed miserably at traveling and enjoying life and trading at the same time. So that is my fault. I kind of hope that I get a super big drop out of this earnings so that I can take a position in it, because I do want to find some nuclear stocks to hold in my long-term portfolio, because I do think it is a nice trade that can occur and it's going to have some positive returns in the long run. So with that, Jared, I'll turn it to you. Tell me, will I ever get back to my dream target of $20 to enter into this?
On this earnings, that actually might be a big deal. That'd be a big problem. But I'll have to talk to with you later. Maybe not a specific company, but there are some atom clear nuclear MIC ETFs out there. So
There we
kind of
go.
playing with
I
the
like
words,
that.
huh? So you don't have to be necessarily a company focused, more of a like an industry focus. So. But when it comes to Oklo and the expected move, hello, Brian, even though you're a black box today, welcome. And it's just me on this side. Oklo is only pricing about a $9.5 expected move. So unfortunately, Mike won't get his $20 fill unless something really drastic happens. Where am I getting this information from? I'm getting it from the option market. So if you're new to the YouTube earnings series or just how I do the expected move in general, I'm coming into Oklo's weekly options, and this is a Friday expiration on a Monday. We're kind of expecting some of this volatility. I'm grabbing this number right here, about 9.5. And the reason I'm doing that is because all of the option traders are trying to get a sense of how wide this move is going to be, and more importantly, positioning for both the next day along with maybe the rest of the week. So these positions are both going to be speculation, hedges, even, people trying to make a little bit of I would say like a quick binary type of trade, whether you're doing straddles, strangles, or something in between. So $9.5 expected move. The stock right now is trading at about 71.75, and that gives us an idea of how wide the price action is going to be, along with the assumption that we'll get some of it, if not most of it, by the end of the day today. So when I shift back over into the price chart, I have some of the price levels marked. Right now, the stock is still kind of dropping a little bit on the session, so I might make maybe a dollar adjustment here. But overall, I would say an upper expected move of approximately 81, maybe slightly lower, just with the dropping price right now. And that's going to facilitate a $9.5 move to the upside, which won't necessarily lead to a breakout on the all-time high, but it would put it back at resistance. If it were to drop, and we're trading at, like I said, about 71.70 right now, we could expect as low as maybe 62.50 or about 62 to facilitate that $9.5 drop. And the whole reason to translate this into price levels is because most traders are going to be trading the equity after the market closes. This is more to give you a sense of how volatile the stock's about to be and showing you that if you're taking trades, whether you took them a couple of weeks ago or you're about to enter, these ranges can be achieved. So basically, no one is safe in this area. We're obviously should see some volatility and hopefully a little bit of back and forth for us to take advantage of. So that's it for Oklo.
Okay. Guys, just so you know, if you're not familiar with the company, what the coolest part of this, Carlos, I don't know if you have my screen available just to throw it quickly, because, when I said that it's a different model, they are really positioning themselves very differently in terms of how they're going to get themselves out there into the market. And
Hey, Peter, can you refresh your screen so I can get it?
I am
I'm just seeing
sharing it.
black right now. Yep.
Oh, you are? Why? Hold on. My screen. I see it on my screen. No, you don't?
No, nothing here. Weird.
Okay, well, we'll try again. But anyways, if you go to their website, you could find it then. And what's sort of interesting about it uh is just their design. Again, it looks like a cottage, a nice serene cottage, modern. You'd see it in a sci-fi movie. It looks cool. Anyways, all right. Well, Carlos, if you can't see that, then
Yeah,
sorry.
not getting it for some reason, but
Okay. It's weird because it shows it back to me in my own screen. All right, well, let's move on. Archer Aviation, because I had some other pictures for Archer. Very different world here. This is, as you guys know, my favorite mode of transportation here for Archer Aviation, where they are deploying what they call eVTOL. Now, it doesn't roll off the tongue to me, I find very easy, but these are basically their electric vertical takeoff vehicle technologies. They're not the only ones out there. We've got Joby and some others that are doing it. Archer Aviation, though, has really been on a roll recently. By the way, ACHR is the ticker symbol for Archer Aviation. They also have earnings, and they have been in this last quarter, right? They've been announced as the official air taxi provider for the Los Angeles Olympics and Paralympic Games in 2028. They've made a couple of acquisitions. They've won some defense contracts, as they're not only going commercial, but they're going to be working with the Defense Department for remotely deployed eVTOL vehicles. They've really sort of made some positive moves. Their stock hasn't always reflected that, but once again, we got to remember these guys are largely pre-revenue as well. This is not, by the way, these aren't the, like, don't expect to be flying from New York to Los Angeles in one of these things. That's not what they're doing. They're doing 20 to 50-mile journeys. Like, that's pretty short, right? But they're really expecting the people where time is money, right, to take advantage of this, where you could easily fly. They like to use comparisons where if you had to take a taxi or a subway, it might take you an hour. It'll take you 9 minutes in one of their vehicles. Assuming it stays in the air and there are no accidents. Never mind. I'm sure it's all good. There'll be no problems. It'll be perfect. That being said, again, they're looking at in this quarter $5 million worth of revenue and expected to lose about 20 cents a share. So there you go. See, that's their midnight. It's called Midnight, which is their signature plane. Drone, I don't even know what to call it. Vehicle, anyways, eVTOL vehicle. Again, looks cool. I'm not ready to ride in one yet, so someone else will. Yeah, the company's fascinating, and the way it's trading is also interesting because there's really sort of a lot of hype around it and uncertainty as to where this is going to go. This is essentially a new industry segment, right? A whole new market. So let's take a look at the stock.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you bring up that. So the vertical takeoff and landing concept. I mean,
Very familiar with it.
I think if you get to New York and LA, very, very lucrative markets that they could take advantage of. Because who wants to land in LA, get out, and then hop onto the 405 traffic and spend the next hour of your life trying to travel 9 miles, right? It's just no fun over there. So definitely something that could make some money, like Peter said. It's pre-revenue. So I think investors are looking if they continue to advance toward their FAA certification because they haven't quite gotten that yet. Airlines can see this because they have started partnering with them as well. Investors are also going to want to know about the delivery schedules because they still haven't produced one of these things yet. But hey, that could be the reason why when you take a look at this chart, you get these big moves up, and then we get these big moves back down off this stock because I think it's a little bit speculation. Some key levels that I think we need to pay attention to is pretty much right where we're at right now at $9.56. I mean, this is the support level of the current trading range that it's in. Going into earnings, that could be problematic for the stock if it doesn't produce and doesn't intrigue investors. We're going to lose this level, and there's some room for this stock to kind of free fall back down. So you're going to want to be cautious with that. If it does provide investors what they want, we're probably looking at moving back up to the top of the range. Doesn't necessarily mean we can break out. If they blow away investors, produce some cash flow, which highly unlikely, they'll be able to possibly break that 1350 level and get some support levels with that, and then maybe continue the breakout higher. But very interesting chart. Going to be fun to watch. This does report at 4:05, so it's going to be the first of the 3 that we're going to pay attention to. So expected moves, Jared.
All right. So this one, given its lower share price, we're actually dealing with a smaller price range, but it's actually our most volatile name from a percentage standpoint. They're pricing approximately 15% higher or lower. A lot of uncertainty, and given the nature of the asset, kind of makes sense. But it reflects in a lower price range for us to take advantage of. So higher or lower, about 1.45. I'll just round that up to 1.5. And assuming we do close at about 9.5, that would put our lower expected move somewhere around 8. And our upper expected move somewhere around 11. So I actually don't have those marked, but I was kind of waiting to see if the trade changed a little bit. But about $8 a share and then $11 a share to the upside, which would be kind of what Mike is suggesting. We have some technical support somewhere around 9.5. And I often like to bring this up because traders often miss it on the analysis. This stock is actually flat this year. So if you look at where the stock opened, it's pretty much the same price that it opened up this year, which means that this is almost like an inflection point. If we were to drop, we'd actually see the stock underperform and be red on the year as far as just the actual pricing of the range. So the technical range being critical for recent money buyers and sellers, but the I would say perspective of performance on a year and whether or not a stock is continuing, very much important to hold your year-to-date open price or at least see some decent like volatility around it for us to take advantage of. So interesting technical chart, less interesting expected move. I do find that these are harder to trade. They're usually a little like thick in the order book. So there's a lot of orders that have to be filled typically, and it makes them a little bit harder to move. But otherwise, just a volatile name, 15% higher or lower. That's it.
Okay, last but not least, guys, our third target for today, ASTS Mobile. This is Space Mobile. Just like saying that. Space. Anyways,
Space.
the actual company is called AST SpaceMobile. And once again, our fourth one, pre-earnings, from a numbers point of view, looks very much like Archer we just talked about. Also has about $5 million worth of revenue, 5.15 to be specific. And they're expected to lose about 19 cents a share versus Archer's 20 cents a share. So, sort of same type of profile from an earnings expectation, but a very different business, right? So in this case, they're not exactly, well, I guess they are pre-revenue, but they're in an established industry, right? This exists. Their biggest competition is big, right? They're going up against SpaceX, the Starlink, program. They're going against Global Star, which has massive backing and huge investment. So I just don't know how we have enough room in space for all of these competitive arrays of satellites up there. They're like things are going to be crashing into each other soon. But anyways,
Space is
what do
big,
I?
Peter. It's a big place.
It's a big place, I guess. But anyways, but it just feels like there's a lot of stuff going up into space. Anyways, so here is good pictures here of what they're expecting, right? They're literally deploying these satellites that are going to circle the globe. Again, very similar to what Starlink and Global Star are currently doing, and expected to provide cellular service everywhere. I find it absolutely fascinating because, like, last week, my local, cell phone provider here in Canada gave me an opportunity to join for free their satellite-based texting service. It's completely free until it's not, and then there'll be additional fee onto my account to cost, to pay for it. But they're advertising already that you can like just add this onto your existing cell phone plan and use it that way. So it's interesting how we're going to see an integration, I believe, in the next several years of this space, satellite-based communication technology with our traditional terrestrial-based dishes that we tend to use, right? You got to be near a cell tower. If you don't have cell tower coverage, you can get spotty service. The whole point of the space-based deployment is that, you don't have to worry about that, but it's a completely different technology. So ASTS is, again, on the edge of this, but this is massive capital investment. It's probably not unlike what Oklo has to face, for example, for long-term big gains, right? When they can make it work. So ASTS, again, interesting story. The stock, though, is also an interesting one because, again, I feel that investors don't quite know what to do with this. Mike, as we look at this thing, it's been, I mean, it's not like it hasn't moved, but, net, it's moved recently, but it also has these long periods where it sort of just moves sideways, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the stock, I mean, for the better part of the last quarter and first quarter of this year. So you can say half year has been really range bound. When it secured some new deals with some of the big global telecom carriers, it started to finally break out of that range. That's where we saw it take that increase from June to July. Interesting, it's on increased volume, so there was some interest in this stock up there. But as you notice, once it got up there, it's kind of forming a range bound again, right? And it's going there. Like Peter said, it's competing with SpaceX. And really, how do you get your satellites into space? You go to SpaceX or you go to Blue Origin. So SpaceX is kind of carrying their competitors' satellites up there to compete with them. So that is something to take a look at as well. But I do like the comment that you made, Peter. It's very nice to see that it can be integrated very quickly into your phone as is. You don't necessarily need any new technology. You already have it. You just click and it's a part of there. And when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you'll enjoy this satellite 5G broadband, because we all know that when you lose your 5G, how frustrating you get when you can't load something on your damn phone because it won't. The speeds out there, like LTE, is not the way to go anymore.
Imagine never being lost in the wilderness again. There would be no lost, right? Always findable, always connected. So anyway, that's the promise.
Definitely something to look forward to. Some key levels, I think, once again, we're down below the 9 and 20 moving average. So I would not consider this a pullback from the highs that it made in the middle of July. I would say, hey, we kind of are on the downtrend going to the lower part of the range down near 42. If we lose this 42 level, on this chart could be another free fall down, especially if the numbers or guidance is not what investors are looking for. If they do get what they want, if we can get back up above 54, it's going to be a nice way. We might be able to break up to 60, but that's going to be kind of a push for this stock right now. They did hold a secondary offering to raise capital recently, and that was because, well, satellites cost money and they need to launch satellites and they got to pay other companies to launch those satellites. So they do need cash, and we have to, or they have to, ensure that it's still there. Investors are going to want to see kind of what the expected revenue streams can be from these services, and most importantly, when it's going to be commercially available. That is probably the biggest thing that investors are looking for right now. Not a huge big trader in the community. However, we do kind of watch it, especially recently with the volatility that it's had. So with that, Jared, what can we look for the expected moves on these?
And 30 seconds to market close, everyone.
Yeah. So I'll let the closing bell kind of pass here. I might have to go on mute for just a second, but expected move on this one about 6.65. It's kind of fluctuating with another number, a little ominous there, but kind of looking at the option trade, and just give me 1 second while the closing bell rings. Okay, just making sure that didn't come through the closing bell. Looking at some of the option trade, we do have a lot of open interest at about 43 on this one. It's kind of right above the key support that Mike identified. So it's an interesting spot to see maybe some hedging, maybe some local positions, trying to avoid any further downside with such a large expected move. And call side activity, open interest and volume today came in around 50. So, 50 is a little further, or sorry, no, it's within expected move. But I'm not necessarily seeing that as like the leaning edge. The put interest is quite high, and then the call interest is maybe split between 51 and 50. The expected move number or range would be decided at this point now that we have a closing price of about 45, let's just call it 46, closed out on the day. So moving lower 6.65, that brings us to about 39, 33 repeating, of course. And to the upside, it would be about 51, 65. Yeah, so I was off a little bit there, but not a real like psychological price level for either one, more of just an area of, I would say, volatility for this stock. With some of the put interests being a little bit more on the hedged position, and then maybe the calls at 50 and 51, it kind of feels like there's a maybe a spread between some people who are hedging a drop and then maybe some speculators who are playing it back towards the upper 50s, or sorry, lower 50s. So we'll kind of see how that one shakes out, but I don't really have a good technical lean on that one. So that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're into the close, everybody, which means we're now getting ready to see when earnings numbers come out. So remember, in order here, we've got Archer Aviation, of the ones we've talked about, is up first at 4:05. Oklo and ASTS are both out at 4:30. In between, we do have some other things like Plug Power, for example. It's one that we've looked at time. Plug is their ticker. That looks like their numbers came out. They got an initial drop, but are pulling back. This is a sub $2 stock, though, so just keep that in mind. And then what else we got? We've got GoPro. It's another one I was watching. They come out in just a couple of minutes here. This is also a sub $2 stock. So, yeah, those don't tend to be as interesting.
Oh, it didn't load to the screen I want. Hey, Carlos, don't worry. You'll get the chart back here shortly.
Sweet.
I promise. I promise.
I was ready writing you a text.
It just super slow loading a new desktop file. Not sure why.
You broke it.
I know
All
I
right.
broke it or something. So let me get ASTS up here. Here we go.
All right.
You had also
ACHR.
had you mentioned Big Bear AI, Peter?
Big Bear. I did I not just mention them? But yes, 4:15 for Big Bear. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's already kind of on the move. For
Yes.
those interested, the expected move on that one's about 1.5, but it's another lower price stock, high volatility for the price. So those are some technically some big moves for those types of names.
Oklo. There we go. I don't know why that did that.
All right, we're just waiting for things to move here. So.
Yeah. ACHR is the first one at 405, right? Or did I mess that up with my brain?
Of the ones we talked about, yes.
Yeah, ACHR. So
Yeah.
got that one up for you. Oh.
Yeah. A little bit of chop here, but nothing major. You'll know when earnings come out. It'll move.
Yes, you will. Instantaneously, you'll know. So
Yeah, it's usually a combination of we want to see maybe some initiation volume inside of the candle, and then more importantly, how the level two looks. If you're actually trading the asset, usually there's a bit more orders kind of filling around the price levels that we're expecting. So the initial movement is very thin, but can be volatile. And it looks like ACHR is at least giving some traders a little bit of run for their money there. Let's see. So that one is to the downside, and the volume does appear to be there. So maybe that one's a bit of an early release.
I have not heard it. Oh, well, it might help if I have squawk on and not just up. Let's see if it came through.
So remember, for that one, we're looking for about plus or minus 1.5. Given it's a Monday earnings, I would usually cut that in half and then see if there's any like rebound or snapback. So right now at 8.8 or 8.75, that's kind of where I'd be looking to see, are we going to get all the volatility today or just a portion of it? And then the rest of the week can kind of determine whether we get the remaining piece. But it's like a half yard move, 50 yard line on this one.
When you put it on the
I
daily, Mike, the move doesn't look as impressive. You gotta
no.
look at the short term to make it look all, you know.
Oh, you want the short term? Here, now it looks super impressive.
There, see, that looks all super
Whoa.
impressive now. Anyways,
But see, then I lose my expected move
you gotta talk into the mic, Ricky.
numbers. Say I want the black line, so I know when to take it long or short.
Yeah, these are always tough because I find that they kind of react a little bit higher or lower than the option market expectation. And it's just
Yeah.
because we have all week, the options don't expire tomorrow. So, some of that trade is protecting more of the rest of the week. And it can be kind of hard to tell where the stock reacts as
Yeah.
opposed to the later weekly options.
I still don't see anything out on it, so maybe it didn't.
So far, we do have a bounce at 8.75,
Yeah.
right in the middle of kind of nowhere on this thing.
So, have you seen any numbers out on it, Peter? I haven't seen
No, I thought I
anything.
did, but I got confused with some of the there's other earnings companies that start with the letter A that have come out.
I'm
So
pretty sure it's reported. I mean,
they must have.
BBAI is getting kind of a move upward as well.
Yeah.
It's pulling back off that, but
It's not supposed to be for another couple of minutes here, but
yeah,
look, the volume is pretty anemic on Archer Aviation, so it doesn't look like this is going to be,
much of a trader.
yeah. I mean, at least not enough for me to even consider it. So, not that I trade a lot after hours, but you got to be really careful when the order book is very thin, like when you just don't have that much inventory. You got to be careful because you might not get filled where you think you're going to get filled.
Never get filled where you think you're going to get filled.
Well, that could be true.
ASTS, I do not believe they're scheduled for 4:30. Been over there
Yes,
on
4:30.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So
OKLO is also 4:30.
yes.
Yeah. So unfortunately, Archer's going to have to entertain us for the next
Yeah.
at least
I'm
15
hoping
minutes.
maybe BBAI will. Big Bear.
Yeah, I'm looking at BBAI now just to make sure.
Yeah.
That's a
I'm
415, I believe.
yeah, 415 and it's yeah. I mean, it's had a big move up, had a big then I think they caught the slippery slide on the way back down on their let me pull up there.
Their price action.
their their daily. You can kind of see big move up,
Yeah.
big drop down, and they've been trying to climb back out, and we're kind of in the range with BBAI. But it could be a mover, right? You never know what you're gonna get with them. But every time I hear you say Big Bear, all I think about is snowboarding in California. So it's like
So,
an embedded image in my head.
ACHR not only reacted kind of where I expected, that sort of half price area of 8.75, but it's actually turning. So
Yeah, I
now there's
noticed.
plenty of orders stacking at 10, which would kind of invalidate the whole drop. And it's kind of an interesting turn, even though it's only $1.50, but that's quite a
Yeah,
volatile move, even though we didn't get the expected. So I'd be on the lookout for that one. Right now, interacting with previous day close, so basically flat on this reaction right now, but definitely some orders stacking closer to 10. And assuming the bidders don't get filled again, maybe we can get 10 filled before the day is done. We'll see.
That's aggressive. Okay. Sure, why not?
let's get 10, 10,
10. Look the yard, Peter. 10 is well within the yard. I can dig a hole at 10. I
All
can play
right.
ball at 10.
It doesn't have to climb the fence to
That's
get
right.
there.
Now, if I
Okay.
said 12, you would have been like, that's crazy. That's way too far.
That's
That
crazy talk, eh?
that's
All
a
right.
dog that's completely left the yard. So, but I would say that is a good presentation of price action as long as those lows are kind of intact. We might look at this tomorrow and see if we're actually going up, just seeing the lack of downside at this point. But too early to tell right now. Just a snapback on the earnings reaction. Kind of looking at BBAI once we get closer, see where the orders stack. $1.50 expected move
Yeah.
on that one. Closed out at about a little bit higher than 7, so I guess maybe 8.5. Yeah, if we're
Yeah, I think
lucky.
8.5.
But same thing though, maybe like cut that range in half just because it's Monday. So even 7.75, I'd be looking, and then I guess down to 5.75, but its pricing as low as 5.5. Sorry, 6.25 to the downside. Math.
You keep
Math is hard.
Math,
at,
math is hard.
at least Big Bear here has had some kind of movement at after hours, right? Has had more volume in ACHR as well, so you never know what we could get out there.
Yeah, sharp rejection on ACHR at previous day close, so the bullish thesis is kind of falling apart now.
Mhm.
Good old
Just
king of levels still works after hours. Still such a nice reaction point.
the volume on it's just so low. I mean, they're not even getting
Yeah, it is.
a million shares in a candle, or even really 300,000.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, it's pretty light. And the spread isn't bad for this share price, but if I were trading like a $92 stock, I'd be like, man, that spread's kind of ugly. So I think traders could probably manage it. This one, like Mike is saying, not a lot of volume, just more
yeah,
reactions back and forth.
yeah. You gotta have volume. Otherwise, you may just be sitting there with wishing you got filled.
Yes, indeed.
I I still don't see anything. Oh, there we go. So finally got the numbers to post on. So they had a quarterly loss of 36 cents per share. So 10 cents worse than estimates. And that's a 12.5% decrease over the losses for the same period last year. So going in the wrong direction. Oh, BBAI looks like it's out.
Yeah, they got here we go.
Definitely
Six
going down.
dollars.
Oof.
Charlie must have taken a break. Ooh, getting close to that 575. There it is.
Yeah. Well, I was off on the math, but yeah, that's a bad drop. They're
Come
expecting
on.
like 5.5 if it runs the full expected move. So it's down almost 20% at these levels. It shows how volatile they were expecting this earnings to see it down
Yeah.
here.
Wow. ASTS and Oklo are also dropping suddenly here.
Oh, you're right. Are we getting
Going
early
they're
earlier?
going early.
Don't do this to us. We just had another stock to trade. Now we got three. Yeah.
What was the range on Oklo that you had? You had
So for
roughly.
Oklo, it's about 9.5, and I measured it at about 81 or 62.50 approximately, just based on the rough closing price.
Yeah.
So Oklo certainly has some room to the downside, and like I said, Mike, I don't think I can get you 20, but I might be able to get you 60. So
There we go. See, 60 wouldn't be too bad. Even
mhm.
a 50 wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah.
60 wouldn't be bad.
50 kind of feels like a fair value area now that it's
Yeah.
done all this move up. I
But
just don't
but
know.
like you always say, right? If you like it at 20, do you like it at 50?
Yeah, exactly. We like things only because we can sell them at higher prices. That's usually the thesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, man, 20 would be nice. I know I'm not going to get that, but hey, you can always hope. Hope and dream.
That's right. Yeah, I guess. Do we
Uh,
know if Oklo or ASTS
I
had
have
early?
not heard anything. I got Benzinga on and I'm actively typing in their tickers. Ooh, ASTS did report. So SpaceMobile, 41-cent drop, so negative 41 cents. Their estimate was negative 21 cents, so almost double what they estimated. And they had a miss on sales as well. So they only sold 1.1 million sales, 1.156 million. Their
Again,
estimate was 7.517 million. So not very good.
does it matter really? I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
when you're only looking at that level of earnings, it doesn't really matter if
It really doesn't matter. What's 500-600 million like one
well,
satellite?
yeah. I mean, what matters is how much they're spending, right? Do they have the
Yeah.
cash reserves? So their earnings per share is important, not necessarily the revenue.
Yeah.
So,
So unfortunately, ASTS, even though the numbers are out, the volume is almost worse than
Yeah.
ACHR. And for
hmm
a $45 stock, I mean it's carrying a pretty decent spread too, at least with the short-term trade.
Yeah.
So
30 cent spread on it.
yeah, so I'd be a little careful on that one. It's also kind of not really hitting any key areas. I guess the support was near 42, 43. It's also where those puts were located when we took a look at the options. So puts might provide a little bit of short-term support, but we'll see if it can hold it.
Oklo did that drop, but it's recovering back up. So
Yeah, let's see if is there a good volume on that one? It kind
uh
of is.
yeah, I mean,
It's getting there.
I don't see anything. I mean, I still don't see anything out on it. Haven't heard anything.
Maybe they just bid it back up. It's rising pretty well.
There we go. So Big Bear had earnings per share of negative 71 cents versus their negative 6 cent estimate. And they missed on revenue as well by about 10 million. So
that
sales were
seems
32 million versus 41 million.
negative what, 7 or 70? What did you say?
Negative 71 cents.
That seems wow, in, like they overspent incredibly. How is that possible? That doesn't seem realistic.
Nope. But that is what is here.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Could be why there's that big drop on them, Peter.
Mhm. I
the
mean, it's
patterns here, everything is going back to previous day close at some point. Even
Yeah.
Oklo right now is about to hit it.
So the last one we got's Oklo, and I have not heard or seen anything. And look at that.
it's the only one that's up at the moment compared to its closing price.
Spread is 50, about 30, fluctuating between 40 and 50 cents, down to 30 cents now.
Yeah, the options on this one, they don't suggest that there was any key level where we bounce from. What I do notice about this stock though is that it changes strike distances on the puts and calls beyond like 61. It goes back into a dollar wide strike, and then
Yeah,
up here we're like,
72.
yeah, like you notice how it's half dollar wide, and then it's a dollar wide once we
Yeah.
get above 72. So I don't know why it's structured like that. That might actually be a weird inefficiency. We might be able to take advantage of that tomorrow, but I, I wouldn't have seen or guessed how to trade it based on that. Not in earnings at least. So options are weird sometimes. They leave holes, and sometimes the strikes aren't even and they change. So you almost have to kind of be
Somebody
active
went on
thinking it.
vacation.
It didn't make all the strikes, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean
vacation time. I'm out.
it
It'll
happened
survive.
it happened on a few stocks today that I was trading. I had to look at it and say, why can't it go here, or why is it reacting so wide? And it was the options for most of it.
Hmm.
I am. I definitely want to see this. I'm hoping Benzinga at least mentions this one.
I mean, the Big Bear is by far getting the best volume right now, by far.
And it achieved its expected move. It's one of the only ones that has so far.
Hmm.
Wow, that's a big drop for Big Bear. That's 25% down
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah.
Very, very over
that's I mean,
sold. This might kind of look like AI had a really nasty drawdown this morning too, even though it got bought up on the session. So I'll be
mhm.
curious if Big Bear does a similar move tomorrow. Might open like lower than 5, and then we'll see if the session recovers or not.
Actually, it's a good point, right? Because we tend to get a late night movement, or we could get the early morning, right? Markets are open until 8 and then open again at 4 a.m. Eastern time. So we could there's time. Plus, I don't know what time their conference call. You have to keep in mind that there's this is just the numbers release. Then they usually have the management conference with the analysts when the analysts get a chance to ask questions and dig into the numbers a little bit, and then you can often get more movement after that. So, well,
Oklo.
has anybody tried these trades out there?
A little stab at ACHR when it was moving. Didn't get much out of it. And
No.
I wouldn't mind taking Oklo, but I'd
Yeah.
prefer to have the numbers out and
Hmm.
not be guessing. But
I know, right? Like, man, it's moving, but numbers aren't out.
honestly, ASTS, the fact that it came right off of that like that swing low support, that's obvious. And I'm seeing a little bit of topside here. There's still bidders, but if it clears, it might actually go to like 52. There's someone with pretty big size at 52. So I'm keeping an eye on that one. That one might be a breakout in just a moment, even though I would have preferred buying the low, but I'm kind of looking at it because doesn't feel like they're too worried about it dropping to 42. It felt like it was calm, casual, collected. So,
Casual.
and remember, this is a satellite company, so the only way to go is up in space. So, I mean,
Oh, but,
what's the point of going
To
to
the
the
moon.
ground when the point is to go to space?
Who's going to be the first company to provide broadband service on the moon? There you go.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it's
For
kind
the
of
forward
breaking out.
deployed space forces.
is that is that the measure? I mean, wait a second. There's got to be somebody there to use it.
Yeah, forward deployed space forces.
Okay. All right. You think that's the thing, eh?
Well, eventually.
Eventually.
Might be 30, 40 years, but
Well, okay, fair enough.
ASTS clearing.
Jared, did you make this pop happen on ASTS? You called it.
Yeah,
Record
but
low pop.
it's kind of like what Mike is saying. Without volume, this could be a fake little head fake thing.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I
you
need
didn't
I
even
need
get
volume.
above 50,000 shares on that pop.
Yeah. That's why I love being near the swings because it's like at least I know if I'm wrong pretty quickly.
Hmm.
When it's a breakout, I need volume. If volume doesn't come in, I'm scared.
Yeah.
So is the market. So we'll see. It's holding right now. I see orders. I see a big player at 52. I don't know if we can get all the way to them, but they're starting to provide a ladder. And if we get some buying volume, at least there's a way to get there. Um,
LMI. We'll see if Oklo wants to go. We'll see. I still
Thomas,
have it
you're
here. I haven't
never
got
too young for dad jokes.
I've
It's
got
crazy talk.
nothing on them right now. So just waiting happily.
I think once we're all said and done, I think looking at these more from the technical side for tomorrow is almost just as exciting as the trade that we have right now, because these will definitely be on our watch list, regardless of how they kind of close out the afternoon.
Yeah.
Um, I really like what ASTS is presenting. I liked it on ACHR, but it kind of faded, and now it's turning. So I'm trying to be a bull at this point, but I've been so bearish recently that I'm trying to look at the positive side of the market, the upside.
Hmm.
Peter's turned me into a grumpy old bear. He converted me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes stocks do go down. I think that's the truth. Occasionally, stocks do go down.
They do.
They got to go
Occasionally.
down to go up.
That's right. How are you gonna get a good price?
Yep,
Gotta go down.
exactly. Arr.
Come on, Oklo.
It's like slingshotting around the sun, on a space journey. You're just doing it to gather momentum,
That's right.
even if it's not in the direction you eventually want to go.
Yeah. It's a refuel. You go and get the Martian. You got to refuel on Earth and then slingshot back. Yeah, I get it.
Well,
Yeah. Where's
it's
that?
that time for Oklo, but have not heard anything.
Hmm.
I was hoping when Charlie came on, he was going to say, okay, hello, but he didn't.
Mm, yeah. Tell you where we're at, eh?
They're out, Megan. Where are you getting their stuff? Because I am looking. What's the earnings per share in revenue if you have it? Top secret.
Hmm.
There we go. There it is. Thank you. So 7 cents versus loss of 18 cents versus 11 cents.
Be bad actually.
Year-to-date cash used in operating activities 30 versus 65 to 80 million.
Their numbers seem to be all over the place here. So,
Yeah.
oh, ASTS though, getting the push higher.
Told you.
Jared, should have done what you said.
Level 2 doesn't lie.
No,
But
it doesn't.
but volume was slow to come in, so I think that was more of a risk the line in the sand of previous day close and hope for the best. Not a volume signature one. And I mean, to be up front, like we can easily go higher when we're at such a deep support. So the risk is if you're theoretically caught short on the wrong side,
Yeah.
a lack of breakdown is just as powerful as a lack of breakout, and everybody wants to get out quickly. So I don't see buying volume. I see almost like a lack of selling, and now it's just drifting. But hey, if you feel 52 and you feel happy and you know it, clap your hands. That's a trade against.
Right.
All you gotta do
So,
is find a price and fill it.
so I am gonna hop off. I got a meeting to go, but I'm sure Jared's gonna stay here because ASTS is finally looking like it's getting a movement up with some.
There you go. Here it
some
goes. Yeah.
more volume.
Yeah.
So looking good for Jared, but I do have to drop. Everybody, look forward to seeing everybody in the BBT chat room tomorrow afternoon as we get ready for another day. Peter,
Maybe
Jared,
we'll do. Thanks,
thank you.
Mike. Appreciate it. Maybe we'll use this as an opportunity to call it a day, at least on the YouTube broadcast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We had, again, the sort of four we ended up watching, right? Between ASTS, Oklo, ACHR, and Big Bear AI. So we'll keep an eye on those tomorrow morning. Join us again for the pre-market broadcast as Carlos and I will be going live. If you're in the chat room, of course, you can join Jared earlier. He does engineering the markets at 8 o'clock to 8:30. So it'll be an opportunity to see how things have moved overnight. If you're trading something, just be careful out there. It's very volatile after hours. So
Yeah.
just want to see everybody not lose their shirt. So enjoy. Thank you, Carlos, once again for coordinating us, and have a great night, everybody.
Yeah. Thank y'all so
take care.
much. Appreciate all y'all's time, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.
Take care.